What's one thing you would treat yourself to regularly if money was no object? Weekly housekeeping services. I really hate housekeeping. When my kids transitioned from full-time daycare to before, after when they hit school age, we put the extra savings towards an every other week house cleaner. We were already used to paying as much as we were, so it was a pretty good added benefit. I hire cleaners less to pick up and organize my stuff, and more to actually clean, which is the part of the process I dislike, like scrubbing tiles and getting all the cracks and stuff. A pro cleaner will come and make you say, "Holy, I didn't know my bathroom could be this clean." Honestly, for me, it's mostly about having someone else come clean the kitchen and bathroom. I'll do it, but I hate it. So I have a maid I call once or twice a month to come by and do what I just don't have energy for after my 70-hour weeks. But I totally get what you mean. I don't like people going through my stuff either. That's why I still have never let them clean my bedroom. But bathrooms and kitchens being cleaned for you is life-changing. It's gotta depend on the cleaner. I was always upfront with mine and told her I really only wanted the kitchen and bathrooms cleaned, so I never worried about bed sheets. Although I would imagine there are lots of cleaners who would be happy to change them out for you, especially if they're also doing laundry for you. I've seen a few services offer this. They'll use your washer and dryer and do laundry while they're at your house cleaning. But as far as floors and countertops, I would always have everything put away, but having talked to a few professional cleaners, it seems that they are quite used to picking up general clutter as well. One of my friends used to clean houses on the weekends for extra cash, and had one client where she needed all weekend to clean his house because he wanted her to pick up and organize and do laundry and fold it and basically just do everything for him. She actually loved him because he was willing to pay extra because he knew he was asking for so much. Where I live, there is a neighborhood that a lot of folks bring kids to trick or treat because the neighborhood is one big loop with a couple cul-de-sacs off of the loop. One guy that lives in a cul-de-sac about halfway around the loop cooks massive amounts of food for everyone to sit down and eat so they can rest their feet. He cooks hot dogs, BBQ, hamburgers, potato salad, baked beans, and several other things including pies and other desserts and even drinks for anyone and everyone that is coming through the neighborhood. He will not accept any tips or any donations. My sister-in-law's husband knows the guy and said he spends over $1,000 every single Halloween. Oh, and he gives out candy too. Has a big bucket for kids to grab what they want out of it. Such a cool thing for him to do. My parents moved out to a country road 4 years ago. After a few months, my parents decided to host a party, and they invited all the other residents on their road for a potluck bonfire get-together. Potlucks are a great way to reduce cost for these events, and you can learn more about the guest by what they choose to bring. Most of the neighbors who attended said they had always wanted to get together and meet the neighbors, but were afraid of the rejection. My parents started a tradition with multiple events a year and invigorated the neighborly communications. Personal cook, nutritionist. Having my meals made for me, and them being healthy meals, would be so nice. Think I would never have takeout food, bad food ever again. Due to a difficult situation, I don't live with my long-term partner. My disabilities include mental health issues that cause sensory overload when dealing with foods cause me to have a diet with little variety as the focus was on low prep. The backs of my hands look like a ball sack made of lizard skin that often cracks and bleeds because I overwash them. And it is very frustrating to wash your hands between every step of prep, due to opt. Like even if I'm going to eat a sandwich with my hands, I still have to wash my hands after putting it together despite knowing I'm about to get that same smell on my hands anyway, and be washing my hands after I eat it. My partner has taken to batch cooking meals I can just reheat in their container. My takeout urge is dramatically reduced. I still sometimes crave things you cannot do yourself to truly replace, but I am much more content without takeaway than I used to be. Dental care. Outside of all of the ridiculous luxuries people have mentioned, this is the most real thing. Dental care. Insurance is so terrible in the US, but it makes such a huge difference. If I had the money, I'd get all of my teeth pulled and replaced with implants. My teeth are awful, but it's not for lack of care. I brush and floss and do all of the things to take care of them. I just have bad teeth. Some part is genetic, but a lot of it is because I used to eat lemons with salt all the damn time as a child. My mom didn't know how bad that actually was, so I was just allowed to do that. The acid in lemons eats away at your enamel. My teeth are so weak and so soft, but getting them fixed would cost more than I owe in student loans. I owe a lot even with insurance. One of the first things I did when my lifestyle got wealthier was to have all of my teeth pulled. Cost me about $2,800 without insurance, then $4,000 for my permanent dentures. Brew. This is amazing. I've been mostly toothless since Sept. 2021, and I've actually gained weight. It's the first time in my life I can remember eating without pain. It's the first time I've ever had to diet. People always tell me I have the money should spring for implants. Hell nah. I could have all the money in the world, and I'd still never go back to a life where something going from my jaw to my gums can cause me pain and infection. Implants fail, and they don't last forever. I'm so happy with my plain dentures. Gonna go eat a crunchy salad now. So when you get all your teeth extracted, you're offered an immediate denture. This is a denture that's created with the mold of your gums and bite pre-extraction. They suck and are ill-fitting, because after you have your teeth pulled, the gums shrink a lot, and very quickly, meaning they don't fit for long. And you need to constantly get relines, kind of like silicone spread over it to form to your changing gums and palate. Immediate dentures are basically just temporary, so they're not made high quality, and they don't look or perform all that great. Permanent dentures, however, are a pair you get made after your mouth is healed and settled into its final form. It generally takes 6-12 months for your gums to reach this point, so immediates are there to give you something to work with until you can get your permanents. This is where you want to put all your money, because this is where quality will be the best investment. You'll have these for a very long time, and they perform much better than the temporary dentures. A private chef. I love to eat, but I hate cooking. I actually did this in a way. Took in my bartender while she was going through a divorce and subsequent employment upgrade training. We covered the costs for her to live with us. She covered her personal expenses. In exchange, we would get a handful of breakfasts and lunches each week, as well as dinner most evenings, and it was ready to hit the table upon arrival from work. Some days it was 3 courses with wine and candles, some days it was leftovers. But it was friggin' awesome. Great choice. If cooking more is something you'd like to do despite not having a passion for it, try this. Pick a dish that you order often for takeout. Nothing too complex or requiring special equipment. If you're cooking for just yourself, something that is easy to cook for one, or is good leftover would be a good idea. A burger or fried rice would be a good choice. Commit to never ordering that dish for takeout again. If you want a burger, you make a burger, and you make it as well as your and budget allow. Try to make it a little better each time. At some point pick another dish and repeat. Preferably something that uses a couple of different techniques. Massages. I have been doing therapy to X a month for a while. Recently, my therapist told me that while she's happy to continue seeing me, she feels like a fair amount of my issues come from overall stress and the fact that I don't feel like I deserve anything. My main issues I was going to her for were stress having to do with parenting a very strong-willed 5 and 9-year-old, and skin picking that's probably self-stimulation from ADHD. Therapy sessions were like $120 each time. She told me that instead of 2 therapy sessions a month, I should do 1 session, and then as a replacement for the second session, a massage $70 and a gel manicure $40. I'll be honest, she was spot on. While it doesn't last the entire month, I feel for almost a whole week or 2 after the massage like I can be tons more patient with my sons. I'm less physically tight and stressed, and just feel better overall. Most of my skin picking was my cuticles, and having a gel manicure makes the free edge of my nail harder to pick with. Plus, it changes the feeling of my nail, so I'm more aware when I go to pick. Plus, having all the cuticle skin cleaned up makes for less stuff to pick. To your point, I'd totally do massages multiple times a week or even every day if I could afford it. But with as much stuff as many people spend their money on, Having a massage a month or something is not terribly expensive and can have a lot of positive effects. You know, I went for a deep tissue massage last week. Third massage of my life. I had one about 25 years ago, and then a chair massage about 10 years ago. Honestly, I've been mentally planning how to make room in my budget for them at least twice a month going forward. It's something I'm going to try my best to make happen in 2023 because it made such a difference in how I felt for a few days, and I know she spent most of that hour just trying to fight through my decades of never having them, that I can't wait to see what it's like once they're a regular thing in my life. Never even thought of that as an answer here, but that's a good one. I'm lucky enough to live in an area where we can have 2 of our own mango trees, but with limited yard space, there's only so many varieties we can have. I've seen those shorts on YouTube of someone in Thailand, or whatever, on a boat and taking a massive scoop out the juiciest looking mango you've ever seen, and I've thought, if I were rich, I'd have top-tier fruit like that imported to my place once a week. Would also have a farm or a massive property in Florida or something where I'd hire people to grow, raise as much food that's the place is zoned for, including eggs, chickens, cattle, etc. So I'd know a lot of the foods I get is the best possible quality. Fancier and more frequent date nights with the wife. What I would pay for more time with my wife. It doesn't even have to be fancy. My favorite thing in the world to do is get tipsy with her and just chat. Bull with. Getting caught up in the stresses and responsibilities of being parents can really make you dismiss from mind how much you truly enjoy each other. When the kids are away and my wife and I have time to let our hair down, we enjoy each other so much. There's no contest. We're just best buds. Oh, my goodness, yes. I was always against having a housekeeper, mainly because I like things made my own way, and I'm very methodical with my stuff. But I really can't keep up anymore. I don't live in a huge space, but there is always too much to do. I like to cook. It relaxes me, and I wouldn't like someone else to do it for me. But everything else? Yes, please. My housekeeper would be also an expert on plants though, specifically in pest control. I love to take care of my beautiful plants, clean them, water them, talk to them, propagate, but I can't be bothered to deal with pests. It's a nightmare. So a pest control housekeeper. What a dream. Now that I do have money, the one thing I treat myself to is getting whatever I want on a restaurant menu. If I want appetizers, I don't try to get the cheapest, just what sounds good. Growing up, my parents would tell us to get whatever we want on our birthdays or special occasions. They knew that we didn't have much money. After establishing myself, I feel so proud that it's not an issue anymore if I go out to dinner. With this said, I am quite focused on not being wasteful with money because it just makes sense to save money for the things that are most important. Consistent little good choices add up. I know multiple people who would say a root canal, and that's pretty fucked up. The fact that ACA doesn't cover mouth bones, and that Dental Nurance has a plan max rather than an out-of-pocket max is an outrage. It's done that way because your oral health is on you. Nobody can brush your teeth and floss for you twice a day, and if you were doing it, guess what? You probably wouldn't need that root canal. If you need a bunch of expensive dental work done, there's about a 99.9% chance it's because you don't brush. When you do brush, you do a half job. You don't floss, and you eat garbage food and sugary drinks all the time. You want going to the dentist to be cheap? Take care of your fucking teeth at home, and it will be. I guess you've never heard about how pregnancy causes a lot of problems for many pregnant women's teeth. Or people have accidents or get assaulted and get their teeth broken, damaged. They can't afford to get it fixed, and eventually it will likely need a root canal, regardless of their dental hygiene. Some dental problems really are genetic, and it doesn't matter how well they take care of their teeth. Sometimes it's how the teeth are shaped or positioned. I've always taken really excellent care of my teeth, but I got a cavity between my teeth that it didn't even matter that I floss between them just because of a weird curvature of one of my teeth. Certain health conditions can affect your dental health. For example, I have Sjogren's disease, which causes severe dry mouth, and it commonly can cause dental problems. Dental health is closely tied with overall health. Heart health is negatively affected by poor dental health. People can die from an untreated tooth abscess. I'd buy a house. So tired of how I'm treated as renter, but I mean, can't buy, so I don't get to choose my own paint or have pets or whatever other rules that come up with. Then your rent is twice what the mortgage would be if you own. Less ownership, more restrictions. It's not even just the ownership restrictions. It's the expensive fucking cycle that renting puts you in. The restrictions are just an added bonus. Let's not forget the 25% yearly increase on rent because inflation. While your hours at work are reducing because inflation, you look into other places to rent, only to find out that every other apartment house has also increased their rent, and you can't afford to buy a house because all of your money has been going to rent. And now, you're wondering if you'll ever be able to afford a house because of the increased rent. It scares the out of me when I think of a few years down the road. Are they going to continue to increase rent by 25% when my wages are only increasing to 3%? Will I be homeless in the next few years? Sorry to piggyback off your comment with a rant, but it's infuriating. My rent just increased 25%. It's increased over 50% in the 2 years I've been here. I'm tired. Housing sucks. Renting sucks. I hate this game. It's depressing how many of these comments are health related. But if it makes you feel any better about not being able to afford it, these kind of full body workups aren't necessarily a good idea. If you go looking, you'll find something that looks a bit odd in literally every person. And then, they'll want to go rummaging to sort it out, and it probably wasn't causing you any harm anyway, except now, you're having to recover from surgery and complications. Health agencies actually recommend against blanket screening of various things for this reason. The moisturizer thing, you do you. A private chef. I spend so much time thinking about what to eat, what I need to make it, going to the grocery store, prepping and cooking the food, eating the food, then washing dishes that it's exhausting, especially when it's just cooking for two. A private chef would allow me to come home, enjoy dinner with the family, and then have time for hobbies or unwinding. Plus, I would be healthy and not overweight since I wouldn't need fast food or takeout. In this exact order: time with love people. I want them beside me. I want to go out with them, to know their families, to help them, to take everything off their head. Expanding a building with different rooms, arenas. Bikes. I want a lot of bikes for all my friends. I would regularly try a new bike and give it to one of my friends. After each one gets a bike, I'm spreading the ones that come after across locations where we regularly visit. No more I wish my bike can fit in the car when we visit my parents, or this place is so beautiful. A bike ride would be amazing. No, we would have good bikes everywhere we go. Cars, a few hundreds of cars. I want them starting from the craziest off-road builds to the most economical car to drive around, park, etc. Food, and a personal doctor's. Good food. Home cooked by a chef consulting with the doctors. Clothes. I want a room full of t-shirts fitted for my body and with good materials. I hate when shirts get burned by my underarm sweat. They look like melted plastic no more. Honestly, if money was no object and I had billions of dollars, every month, maybe a week, is treating myself to going and finding someone else who needed to be lifted out of poverty. If find people struggling with illness or making ends meet, and make sure they would never have to be worried about being evicted, going without enough food or medical care. I don't know, as someone who has a disease, one diagnosed at a point I was just starting to make traction in my own life, and this resulted in homelessness. Even if just briefly, can't help but wonder about those that can't get out. So, if I had to pick a special treat, paying it forward to as many as I could would be it. I know it's stupid and cliche, but a yacht. I've always dreamed of motoring island to island in Greece, scuba diving in those crystalline waters off your own boat, eating dinner on the open-air aft deck with the sound waves gently lapping against the hull, then tucking into a cozy queen-sized right, morning swims, pulling into a new island every day, enjoying the local cuisine and wine, and having your best friends and family along for the adventure. I know the first thing people do when they buy a yacht is try to sell the yacht, but I just can't help but to indulge in that lovely fantasy. Go to museums. It might not seem like much, especially as there are a lot of museums which are free to visit, such as the Smithsonian museums. But that's not the point. Just because something doesn't cost money doesn't mean there isn't a cost to it. If money was no object, I would have more free time, as I wouldn't have to worry about working enough to make ends meet. I would have time to do what I like. This happens to be museums. There's so many museums I want to visit that I've never been able to. And so many museums I've been to that I want to go back to. If money was no object, I would see them all. Pretty sure, become an art and antiquities collector. I'd have to open a little museum because I don't like it when people keep nice things for themselves. And there would be amazing coffee and croissants in the museum, which would open early. And I'd treat myself to a nice French breakfast once a week. I'd also cook lunch at the museum. Just a single, different dish every day. Ramen, or bang bang noodles, empanadas, or palak paneer. Pretty soon, actually get good. And there would be a buzz about the place. As more and more young people started hanging out, the scene would get lively. There would be gigs and raves, and a theater group would settle here, pitching their tents on the lawn. A start-up, maker scene would flourish, alongside several activist groups working with poor people, immigrants, and other neglected groups. The industrial section would gradually expand, following semi-decadal plans to develop the necessary capacity. Every workers' commune and people's council would participate in planning. Our space program would emphasize sustainable habitats, and our generation ships would carry us to the 8 vertices of the galaxy. I would treat myself to moderate life extension and enhancement of my sensory and memory systems. Soon, indistinguishable from gods, humanity would begin the construction of entire universes built on experimental physical, ethical, and aesthetic principles. I would occasionally treat myself to some GVAH roleplay and Vishnu business. Then I would become one with logic and time, and finally go to sleep on a really nice mattress. First of all, I'm helping out my friends. I think they're the kind of people who could change the world with the right opportunities. So I'm absorbing all their expenses so they can dedicate to their fuckery. Higher-end foods. Not necessarily luxurious, but thing like to the foods I already eat. No point being rich when you're on the brink of a heart attack. Also occasional higher-end splurges. Home lab. I'm becoming a maker full-time. Wet lab and high-end equipment. Lots of courses to keep myself sharp. Moving to an undisclosed location away from certain family members in a place where I have first world private healthcare. I'm in a bad place health-wise, so want to be able to have more leeway in high-tech healthcare. Plants. My personal collection will rival that of a botanical garden, especially the poisonous stuff. And who am I kidding? Lewds. There's some fine people making content out there. 1,000 a night prostitutes? Or 5,000 a night prostitutes? I honestly don't know what the price point is for a high-end prostitute. And I'd try a cocaine. And I'd have a YouTube channel where I buy old Star Wars toys and shred them while laughing. And I'd pay people to get plastic surgery to look like DeSantis and Bolsonaro, who'd then star them in a series of prostitutes where they bottom gangbangs. And fund unlimited Root Wars TV show. And force there to be a team with the original cast of Mythbusters. An unsanctioned Chihuahua Fight Club.